All right, so the next science idea that we need to write down is that warm air can hold more water vapor. So more gas water in warm air. So let's go back to the basics here about states of matter and heat energy. So we have looked at this before, and let's just start labeling this diagram here. So solid water, of course, is ice. And ice melts into liquid water. So we'll just call that water. And the gas form of water is known as water vapor. And the transitions between these states, obviously ice melts to water. I think my drawings are going to disappear. Okay. The change from liquid water to gas is called evaporation. When gas turns back to liquid, we call that condensation. And when liquid turns back to solid, we call that freezing. And of course, this is all driven by heat energy. So to melt or to evaporate requires adding energy, and to condense or freeze requires removing energy. So it follows that gas is the state of water that contains the most heat energy, and ice is the state of water that contains the least heat energy. So let's zoom in and connect this back to clouds. So we talked about the water cycle, and getting moisture into the air means that we have to evaporate water from the surface. So liquid water in the form of lakes, streams, ocean, all of that stuff. If we add heat energy, and we do that by warming it up with energy from the sun, it evaporates and adds moisture to the atmosphere in the form of water vapor. Now we have water vapor in the atmosphere, and we need to turn it into a cloud. And we have to do that by releasing heat energy from the gas water vapor that's now up in the air. And that happens because up there it's cooler, right? So as soon as you get that warm, moist air up high, it starts to cool. And if it cools down to the dew point temperature, the water vapor condenses back into liquid water, and voila, you have formed clouds. Okay, so here is our diagram that we have talked about this process so much. This is convection, right? You have the warm air warmed by conduction from the surface of the earth, which causes the warm air to rise, and up here it's cooler, which causes the air to cool, and then it becomes more dense and it sinks. So here is our convection cycle. So to add the cloud bit into that, we just have to note that the heat from the sun, not only is it warming the surface, which warms the air, but it's warming water. So that heat causes evaporation of the liquid water into moisture in the air, water vapor, which then rises with the less dense warm air. And as it cools up there higher in the atmosphere, the heat energy is removed from that gas water, causing it to condense back into liquid water. And there you go, you have clouds. So that is the full picture of how clouds are formed, and what's the relationship to temperature, and what's the relationship to moisture. So here is the science idea to sum that all up to add to your packet.